Stephanie, why do you flinch every time I mention children?
Because my life just started, Clovis. I'm not ready to destroy my body.
Destroy? We're talking about a child, not an accident.
Then maybe you should have married a woman who doesn't mind losing herself.
The city lights glittered beneath their penthouse balcony like spilled diamonds. Stephanie leaned on the glass railing, phone in her hand, camera facing her. Her long, wavy hair fell over one shoulder, her fitted silk dress hugged her calves perfectly, and the city skyline became her background. Stephanie, hi loves, it's your girl Stephanie, fresh from a double shift at the hospital, but beauty must never rest. She laughed softly and ended the story, checking the angles of her waist and hips again. Inside, the living room looked like a magazine spread. Marble floors. Soft grey sofas. Gold accents. A piano no one played. On the center table, a framed picture of their wedding, Clovis in a flawless tuxedo. Stephanie in a figure-hugging gown, veil flowing behind her like a dream. Clovis walked in from his home office, suit jacket off, shirt sleeves rolled up. He paused and just watched her for a second. Clovis, sometimes I still can't believe you married me. Stephanie smiled, not turning. Stephanie, please, you say that every week. Clovis, and I mean it every week. He came closer, wrapped his arms around her waist from behind, his hands resting gently over her flat stomach. Clovis, you know what would make this perfect? Stephanie already knew where he was going. Stephanie, Clovis. Clovis, a little pair of feet running around on this marble. A little girl with your eyes. Her body tensed. She slowly removed his hands and turned, keeping her expression playful. Stephanie, can we at least enjoy being newlyweds for a while? I'm building my brand. My body is my asset. Clovis, we've been married 2 years. Stephanie. How long is new to you? The air grew heavy. She forced a laugh and kissed his cheek. Stephanie, relax. When the time is right, God will do it. But Stephanie was not waiting for God. The next morning, she walked through the private hospital corridor in her perfectly ironed nurse uniform, her hips moving confidently. Her makeup soft but flawless. A pregnant woman in labor squeezed her hand and screamed, Stephanie, breathe, madam, breathe. You're doing well. Just a little more. Minutes later, a baby's cry filled the room. Everyone cheered. Stephanie handed the child to the mother, smiling, Mother, God bless you, nurse. When will you have your own? Stephanie's smile flickered for a second. Stephanie, in God's time, Ma. Let's focus on you for now. But later, in the staff restroom, Stephanie opened her designer handbag, reached behind her expensive perfume bottle, and pulled out a small blister pack of birth control pills. She swallowed one with bottled water, staring at herself in the mirror. Stephanie, my body. My timing. My rules. At home that night, Clovis showed her a room down the hallway. The lights came on, revealing pale walls, soft curtains, an empty space. Clovis, I want to turn this into a nursery. Neutral colors. Something classy. Stephanie laughed lightly. Stephanie, you're planning decoration for a tenant that has not even applied for visa. Clovis, you joke, but I'm serious. I went for a checkup you booked. I am fine. Completely fine. Stephanie's heart skipped. She had arranged that checkup to look supportive. Clovis, the doctor said you are healthy too. So what is happening? Stephanie's hand tightened on her bag. Stephanie, maybe stress. I work nights. You travel. Bodies are not machines, Clovis. Clovis, I know. I'm just trying to understand. He reached for her again, gentle as always. Clovis, I love you. I don't want to pressure you. But my mother asks. My sisters ask. Everywhere I go they ask. Stephanie, tell them to stop counting my womb like it's their investment. Her voice came out harder than she meant. She saw the hot flash in his eyes. He stepped back slightly. Clovis, okay. I'll tell them. Days turned to weeks. Stephanie's life was a cycle of glamour and control. That night, after everyone slept, Stephanie stood alone in the dim kitchen, looking at the pills in her hand. Her phone buzzed, a message from her fitness brand manager, new swimwear line launching next month. We need your waist to stay the same. You are our standard queen. She looked down at her flat stomach, then at the pills. Stephanie, just a little longer. Just until my brand is solid. Then I'll stop. She swallowed another pill. Months passed. Clovis became quieter. He still bought her gifts, still kissed her forehead, still posted her pictures, but something changed in the way he stared out of windows, in the way he lingered over other people's children at parties. One evening, they attended a charity event at a luxury hotel. Soft jazz played. Women in gowns, men in suits, photographers flashing cameras. Stephanie floated through the room in a sleek backless dress, her waist cinched, diamonds at her ears. People greeted her, called her fashion nurse, asked for photos. Clovis was talking with some business associates near the buffet. Then Stephanie heard it, a small voice behind her, "Daddy." The word cut through the music. Clovis turned instinctively. Stephanie turned too. And saw a little girl, about 3 years old, in a tiny flower dress, running toward him with open arms. She stopped breathing for a second. The child jumped into Clovis's arms like she had done it many times before. He caught her easily, eyes wide, and then something unreadable passed over his face. The little girl laughed. "Girl, Daddy, you came." Stephanie's hand froze around her clutch bag as the room blurred for a moment around her, and standing a few steps behind the child was a calm, elegant woman in a simple but classy gown, watching them.
Clovis, whose child just called you Daddy?
Not here, Stephanie. Please.
Answer me before I scream this place down.
If I tell you here, you will never forgive me.
The music continued. Glasses clinked. Laughter floated in the air, but for Stephanie, the entire hall had gone silent. She walked slowly toward Clovis, each step sharper than the last. Her dress shimmered, her lipstick shone, but her eyes were cold fire. "Stephanie, Clovis. Who is this child?" The little girl looked at Stephanie with innocent curiosity. "Girl, Daddy, is this the nurse you said helps people?" Stephanie's stomach dropped. Clovis shifted, trying to put the child down. "Clovis, princess, go to Auntie Amora for a moment." The woman in the simple classy gown came forward. She looked gentle, nervous. "Amora, come, baby." The girl ran into her arms. Clovis turned back to Stephanie. His face tight. "Clovis, can we talk outside?" "Stephanie, if you take one step without answering me, I will drag you on this floor. Right here." People nearby began to notice. Clovis saw the cameras. The phones. The eyes. "Clovis, Stephanie. She's my daughter." The words hit like a blow. Stephanie took a slow breath, trying not to collapse in front of strangers. "Stephanie, you're what?" "Clovis, my daughter." Her hand trembled. She forced her voice low. "Stephanie," and the woman holding her. "Clovis, we need to talk." "Not here." He moved toward the exit. She followed. Outside, on the quiet balcony of the hotel, the city lights stretched endlessly. Stephanie turned on him. "Stephanie, you have a daughter. A whole human being. Outside our marriage." "Clovis, I didn't plan." "Stephanie, don't you dare tell me it just happened. We are not teenagers." He ran a hand over his face. "Clovis, I tried. Stephanie, I begged you. For 2 years I begged you. You kept pushing me away. You refused tests. You refused conversations. Stephanie, so your solution was to become someone else's father." He was silent. "Stephanie, how old is she?" "Clovis, 3. Stephanie laughed bitterly. "Stephanie, 3. We've been married for 2 years. So you started cheating even before we said I do? Clovis, it wasn't like that. I knew Amara before you. We broke it off when I met you. But when things became heavy at home, I went back to her. I was weak. Stephanie stepped back, as if the air itself burned. Stephanie, you married me. You promised me I was your only one. Clovis, you promised me a family too, Stephanie. You just didn't use words. He looked her in the eyes. Clovis, do you think I never noticed? The pills in your bag. The way you always forgot to track your cycle. The way you always refused to see a fertility specialist properly. Stephanie froze. Stephanie, you knew. Clovis, I'm not a fool. I respected you. I waited. I kept hoping you would trust me enough to tell me the truth. He swallowed hard. Clovis, I made a terrible choice. I married Amara quietly. My mother knows. A few people know. I didn't tell you because I was afraid it would break you. Tears burned behind Stephanie's eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Stephanie, you were afraid it would break me, so you broke me in secret. Inside, the music shifted to another song. The city traffic murmured below. Clovis, I thought I could manage it. I thought maybe you would eventually change your mind, and we would sort everything out. But when Amara got pregnant, I couldn't turn my back on my child. Stephanie, so I'm the stylish first wife, the brand, the trophy. And she's the mother of your child. He did not answer. That was answer enough. That night, Stephanie could not sleep. She sat in the dark living room of the penthouse, city lights cutting across her face. Her phone buzzed again and again. Kiki, she ignored it. In the early hours, she stood up, went to the bathroom, and opened the cabinet. The pills stared back at her. She poured them into the sink. They rolled around the basin like tiny white secrets. She turned on the tap and watched them dissolve, her heart pounding. Stephanie, look at what I did to myself. Days later, she called Kiki and told her everything. They sat in a quiet cafe, background music soft, customers far away. Kiki, wait. He married her. Not just side chick, actual marriage. Stephanie nodded, stirring a drink she wasn't tasting. Kiki, and you were taking pills this whole time. Stephanie, I wanted to keep my body. My shape. My career. Every brand wants snatched, not mother of two. You know how harsh social media is. Kiki, I know. But you never gave him a choice. You decided alone. That's dangerous in marriage. Stephanie, are you saying this is my fault? Kiki sighed. Kiki, I'm saying you both broke the rules. You hid pills. He hid a wife. Now everybody is bleeding. Stephanie's eyes filled with tears, but still none fell. Stephanie, what am I supposed to do now? Kiki, find out the full truth. See it with your own eyes. Then decide if you're staying in this story or writing a new one. One Saturday, Stephanie dressed simply, for the first time in a long time. No sparkling gown. No high fashion makeup. Just jeans, a soft blouse, and flat shoes. She waited until Clovis said he had meetings on the mainland and left in one of his SUVs. Stephanie called a driver she trusted and followed from a distance. The city rolled past, busy markets, fuel stations, high-rise buildings, small stores under bridges. Then, slowly, they entered a quiet, upscale estate, neat houses, flowers, clean streets. Her driver stopped a little before the gate where Clovis's car turned in. Stephanie watched through dark shades as the security guard greeted him warmly. Guard, Ogre Clovis. Welcome, sir. Clovis stepped out, carrying a bag of groceries and a tiny pink backpack. A little girl ran out of the house, bare feet slapping the tiles. Girl, daddy. He lifted her in one smooth motion, laughing. A woman appeared in the doorway. Amara, simple gown. No jewelry except a thin bracelet. Hair tied back, she smiled when she saw him. tired but genuine, Stephanie watched as Clovis kissed his daughter's forehead, then kissed Amora lightly on the cheek. He walked inside with them, holding both of their hands. Stephanie's chest tightened, her eyes finally overflowed. She covered her mouth, pressing her back against the seat. "Driver, madam, should I move closer?" "Stephanie, no. Take me home." As they drove away, the estate shrank in the side mirror, but the image in her mind grew larger. Clovis. As a father. Clovis. As a husband to someone else. That night, she waited for him in the living room. No TV. No music. Just silence. When he entered, loosening his tie, he stopped. "Clovis, you're awake." "Stephanie, I followed you today." His shoulders dropped slightly. "Clovis, I guessed you would, sooner or later." She stood, facing him fully. "Stephanie, you looked happy. Not forced. Not guilty. Happy. With them." "Clovis, I am a father. That happiness is different. It doesn't cancel what I feel for you." "Stephanie, you married her." "Clovis, yes." "Stephanie, you gave her what you refused to give me, the truth." For the first time, her voice cracked. "Stephanie, why didn't you fight me harder? Why didn't you drag those pills out of my hand? Why didn't you scream at me that I was ruining everything?" "Clovis, because I loved you. And I kept hoping you'd love me enough to stop by yourself." They stood there, two beautiful people in a beautiful home, surrounded by expensive silence. "Stephanie, so what happens now?" Clovis took a deep breath. "Clovis, tomorrow, you will meet them properly. All of them. My daughter. Amora. My reality." Stephanie stared at him, heart racing. "Stephanie, and after that?" "Clovis, after that. We decide if we are going to keep pretending, or finally start living in the truth." Her pulse hammered in her ears. "Stephanie, fine. Tomorrow then." She walked past him, perfume trailing behind her, but the confidence that perfume used to carry was gone.
Before we go in, remember, you are still my wife.
Honey, I feel like a visitor in my own life.
Whatever happens inside, I take the blame.
No, Clovis. We both signed this disaster.
The next day was bright and calm, no storm. No dark skies, just a quiet Sunday with birds singing over the neat estate. Clovis drove in silence, one hand on the wheel, the other tapping nervously on his knee. Stephanie sat in the passenger seat, simple and elegant, face bare except for light lip gloss. The car stopped in front of the familiar house. Clovis turned to her. "Clovis, ready?" "Stephanie, no." "But open the door." They stepped out, the gate opened before they could knock. The little girl ran out again, full of energy. "Girl, Daddy." She stopped when she saw Stephanie more clearly. "Girl, is this the pretty nurse?" Stephanie's heart twisted. "Clovis, yes. This is Stephanie." The little girl smiled shyly. "Girl, hi, Stephanie." Stephanie forced a gentle smile. "Stephanie, hi, princess." Amora appeared in the doorway, wiping her hands on a kitchen towel. "Amora, good afternoon." Her eyes flicked between them, reading the tension. "Clovis, Amora, this is Stephanie. My first wife." Amora bowed her head slightly. "Amora, you are welcome." They all moved inside. The house looked warm and lived in. Toys on the floor, cartoons paused on the TV, a fruit bowl on the table. It was not as expensive as the penthouse, but it felt like a home. The Saturday, silence stretched. Finally, Amora spoke. "Amora, I didn't want to meet you like this." Stephanie raised an eyebrow. "Stephanie, how did you want to meet the woman whose husband you share?" "Amora, I wanted Clovis to tell you long ago. I asked him many times. He kept saying, I'll do it soon. I didn't want to build my life on another woman's tears." "Stephanie, but you still stayed." "Amora, I was pregnant. Then I was a mother. Walking away is easy when it's just you. Harder when a child holds your hand. The little girl sat on the rug nearby, playing with building blocks, humming to herself. Clovis rubbed his forehead. Clovis, this is my fault. I tried to keep two words alive with one heart. It was cowardly. They all fell quiet when they heard another voice from the doorway. Mama Clovis, finally. The meeting I have been praying for. She stepped in, tying her wrapper. Stephanie stood up, shocked. Stephanie, Mommy. You knew? Mama Clovis, yes. I did. I begged your husband to tell you. I begged him not to marry in secret. But stubbornness runs in this family. She looked at Stephanie kindly. Mama Clovis, and you, my daughter. I also begged you. I told you not to delay too much. I saw the way you dodged the topic of children. Stephanie sank back onto the sofa. Stephanie, everybody knew everything. Except me. Mama Clovis, no. You also knew something. You knew about those pills. You knew what you were doing to your own future. The truth sat heavy in the middle of the room. Stephanie covered her face with her hands for a moment, then dropped them. Stephanie, I thought if I kept my body perfect, I would stay perfect in his eyes. I was afraid of stretch marks. Afraid of weight. Afraid brands would drop me. Afraid people would say, marriage has finished her. She looked at Clovis, tears now flowing freely. Stephanie, I didn't notice that my fear was finishing us instead. Clovis's voice softened. Clovis, you were the most beautiful woman I had ever seen before we married. But the day we signed those papers, beauty stopped being the main thing. I wanted a partner. A family. A future. Not just pictures. Stephanie, then why didn't you leave? Why didn't you divorce me before you married her? Clovis, because I loved you. Because I was selfish. Because I wanted everything. Amora watched quietly, hands twisted in her lap. Amora, I will say this once. I never wanted to be part of a secret. I told Clovis that if he wanted me and our child, he should live honestly. But he kept delaying, saying he didn't want to lose you. That's why we are here now, sitting inside a truth that came too late. The little girl wandered over to Stephanie and tugged her sleeve lightly. Girl, Stephanie. Stephanie wiped her face quickly and looked down. Girl, why are you sad? Stephanie swallowed. Stephanie, because I thought I had everything. But I forgot to ask if I was giving anything back. The child frowned, then did something simple and powerful. She climbed up beside Stephanie and leaned against her. Girl, Daddy says when people are sad, we hug them. Stephanie's body shook as she hugged the small warm frame. Stephanie, you didn't do anything wrong, baby. The adults did. Later that evening, the adults sat around the dining table. The little girl asleep in her room. Clovis, we have to decide what we're doing. We can't keep living like this. Mama Clovis, you will not tear this family into pieces in anger. Whatever you decide, let it be with clear minds. Stephanie took a deep breath. Stephanie, Clovis, I can't pretend this doesn't hurt. It feels like my chest is open. Clovis, I know. Stephanie, but I also know I created part of this pain myself. I lied without speaking. I used my beauty like a shield and a weapon. She looked at Amora. Stephanie, I don't hate you. I want to. But I don't. You are not the one who broke my vows. He did. Amora, and I agreed to build on broken ground. I will live with that. Clovis, so what do you want, Stephanie? Stephanie looked around, at the neat house, at the photos of the little girl on the wall, at her own expensive ring glittering on her finger. Stephanie, for the first time in my life, I want the truth more than I want to look perfect. She took off the ring slowly and held it in her palm. Stephanie, I can't stay in a marriage where I was not trusted with the full picture. And I can't blame only you when I also refused to be honest. Clovis's eyes reddened. Clovis, Are you saying it's over? Stephanie, I'm saying this version of us is over. The version built on secrets, fear, and image. I need to find out who Stephanie is when she is not busy impressing strangers. Mama Clovis's voice softened. Mama Clovis, my daughter, think well. Stephanie, I have been thinking badly for years, Mommy. That's how I got here. She turned to Amora. Stephanie, raise that girl well. Don't use her to punish him. Don't let your bitterness feed her. Amora nodded, tears on her cheeks. Amora, I promise. To Clovis, Stephanie said one last thing. Stephanie, take care of your daughter. Be honest from now on. Even when the truth makes your hands shake. She stood, placed the ring on the table, and walked out with quiet dignity. No screaming, no sin, just a woman finally choosing truth over image. Months later, the city moved on. As cities always do, Stephanie relocated to a slightly smaller but still classy apartment, closer to the hospital. She cut down on brand deals that only valued her waist, and started a new initiative for women at the hospital. The banner at the hospital lobby read, Beauty, Body, and Truth, a safe talk for women about health, marriage, and choices. Women came. Young wives. Mothers. Influencers. Nurses. Stephanie stood in front of them, wearing a simple but elegant dress, curves still there, but a new strength in her eyes. Stephanie, my name is Stephanie. I am a midwife nurse. I used to think my body was my greatest power. I protected it so much, I destroyed what truly mattered. She told her story, not with scandalous details, but with honesty. Stephanie, your body is a gift. But your marriage is also a gift. Secrets are poison. Pride is expensive. Talk to your partner. Don't make decisions alone and call it self-care. That is how we lose good things. Later, as she walked out of the hospital, someone was waiting by the gate. Clovis. He looked more tired, but calmer. He held a small hand. The little girl, now a bit taller, ran up to Stephanie. Girl, Stephanie. Daddy said we can come and greet you. Stephanie smiled genuinely this time. Stephanie, you're getting big, princess. She hugged the girl, then stood facing Clovis. Clovis, I heard about your program. You're helping a lot of women. Stephanie, I'm trying to make sure nobody repeats my mistakes. Or yours. They stood in comfortable silence for a moment. Clovis, I'm sorry. Stephanie, I know. He looked like he wanted to say more, but she raised a hand. Stephanie, we don't have to fix the past. Let's just stop breaking the future. She looked at the child affectionately. Stephanie, if you ever need help with her, call me. Not as your wife. As someone who has learned the hard way what really matters. He nodded, eyes glistening. Clovis, thank you, Stephanie. They parted ways without bitterness, not lovers. Not enemies. Just two people who finally understood the cost of their lives. In a world that worships perfect bodies and perfect pictures, Stephanie learned too late that a flat stomach cannot keep a home standing. She guarded her shape but neglected her truth. Clovis chased a complete family but built it with broken honesty. Beauty is a blessing, not a god. Marriage is a partnership, not a performance. And the body you protect today will still grow old tomorrow, but the people who love you with awe, without a perfect shape, they are the ones you must never sacrifice.